Alright, what's up guys? So, welcome to this video. So what we're going to be doing right now is building a pillar gauge pod and the gauges for old burnt toast out there. And yeah, so we're going to be putting gauges on there. And you might ask yourself, Zach, why are you still running gauges? This, ain't 2001 Fast and Furious. Why not just buy a monitor and mount it on there? And for one, gauges make it feel like a race truck. For two, they look freaking awesome. And three, this is America, and I like it to be like a race truck. Even though, Step 3s are pretty quick nowadays, you know what I'm saying? And you gotta do it for Dale. We got good old Dale Earnhardt sitting right up there on the bench. So that's why I like to run gauges. I just like to look right up at that gauge and boom, I know what it's looking at. I can see it in the corner of my eye. I gotta try to read some little tiny screen when I'm going oh my God, pulling a trailer. You know what I'm saying? So just personal preference. I think they look cool and I think they're awesome. That's why I like to run them. Totally could run a monitor. It'd be like the same price. It'd do a lot more, but this is why I like to go. Old Faithful, that's what I like to call them. So we're gonna be running ones for the EGT so we can measure the exhaust temp so we don't, melt them pistons. We're gonna do a trans temp so we don't burn up them clutches in the trans. And we're running a boost gauge so we can see, how many horsepowers we putting into this bad pony. One thing I always see when I see people do gauges, because when I redo trucks and they've already got them in them, for one, they either always have the old gauges. I'm talking like where the boost gauge has an airline, copper airline running through the dash, through the truck into the intake. Some old school stuff. I'll see those that are dinosaur stuff where it's all mechanical still. Or I'll see them glow shift, the glow shits is what I like to call them, or them cheap Chinese gauges, and they just don't even work right. They just flicker half the time. And I'll see those, and there's just, all of them always have 10,000 wires running through here. If you probably saw the video of me stripping out the dash out of burnt toast, you probably saw it had the same stuff everywhere. So I want to show you, if you want to run some race car gauges in your race truck, how to set them up right so that you don't have a million wires running everywhere, and you can narrow it down to just what you need and make it look nice and pretty and make your install, I think, a lot easier. So one of the other cool things that I like to go with is Pro. These gauges, sorry, Axel got dog hair all over them, but they look freaking awesome, and they come in every freaking color and every degrees or temperature, whatever you can think of, they probably come in it. I mean, if you want a boost gauge that just says 40 pounds, or you want a boost gauge that says 120, you could pick either one and get them in the same color and font, or switch up the lighting. They're pretty cool. I always get them. Now they're a little pricey, but I think they're worth it, because if you go ahead and take a look at that one, get that glare out of there. See that one? What's that one look like? It looks like these gauges I got sitting over here. So you can get them in exact replicas of the 11 to 16 gauge cluster. So I think that's pretty freaking cool that we can have race truck gauges match our gauge clusters. So we're not gonna be able to get this ready for burnt toast just yet. The 02 to 07 cluster helper ain't ready yet, but when it will be ready, we're gonna be ready, you know what I'm saying? So other than that, one other cool thing I got is he's gonna be running onboard air. So I also bought one for the air tank, so you can have a matching air tank one. But this is gonna be mounted somewhere in the dash. I'll show you later. But we're mainly worried about the race truck gauges. So one of the first things we're gonna do is let me unbox them all. Let me get all the wires pulled out and show you what we're looking at and get them set up for the millions of wires, how to narrow it down to make it look good, and some tips and tricks that I got. So stay tuned for that. Give me a second, let me unbox these bad boys. All right guys, so I got everything unboxed right here. So if you take a look, you notice they all have the same power, basically the power wires coming in. So we're gonna, basically what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna set up the plugs for each of the gauges, and I'll show you all the wires we're looking at and show you how we can actually consolidate a lot of those so we don't have 10,000 wires running through our gauge pillar looking like a rat's nest. So let me go ahead and set up each plug and show you what we're looking at, and then show you how I go ahead and set them up. All right, guys, so we got all the gauges on here. I just went by the instructions, pinned all the wires to the right plugs. But now look at all the wires that we got to run through the truck. It's quite a bit, to be honest. You flip them over. This is probably what you're looking at. It's a lot. That's a lot of wires I don't want to run and put together and do everything. But give you a little secret is we can go ahead and connect all these the red wires in here. So boom, that'll eliminate 2 wires. So then we can have 1 red wire coming out. We can do the same thing for the orange ones. So that'll eliminate 2 more. And then we have the grounds. So you got a ground running here, a ground running to this guy. Actually, you got 2 for the trans temp and 2 for the prio. So you have a total of 5 grounds running here. You can run to 1. So I think we can eliminate a total of 8 wires in here, which is about half of them. If we just put them all together in here, so we have one nice, beautiful harness going out. And then what I'll do is I'll zip tie them up so that everything's to length, and then I'm gonna cut them right here, and we're gonna add a plug. Just because if I want to remove these for whatever reason, and I don't know, inspect a gauge or remove the dash or whatever, the plug will make them easy to pop in and out. And basically these are not hardwired into the truck. I can just disconnect right here, remove the gauges from the truck, and do what I got to do. So let me go ahead and get these zip tied up, everything looking pretty. So we got everything to length, and then we're gonna go ahead and chop them. But yeah, that's a whole mess of wires that we just don't need to be up in there when we can, consolidate it and make it look pretty. All right, guys, so boom, see, so I've got them zip tied so I know everything's at a good length. And we've got all of our extra wire over there that'll be running through the truck. So now that I know that everything is where I want it, we can just go ahead and snip these bad boys. I think that's more than enough. Oh God, that didn't, oh shit. All right, whatever, you get the point. I'm gonna snip them right there. And then I'm gonna come through and basically solder all the ones that can be conjoined together. So then we don't have, that's gotta be at least a dozen wires coming through, at least. If not, there's probably 15, probably more than that, I don't know. But I would like to narrow it down as least amount as possible. Like, look how many black ones we got in there. We got 5, what was that, 6 black ones? Let's get that down to 1. So let me snip these with some better cutters and start making this look pretty. All right, guys, check it out. So basically I soldered all the ones that can be conjoined together, and now we've narrowed it down to 8 wires. So I counted how many we originally were working with. It was 16. There's 16 wires they want you to run. When you can narrow it down to half as many, obviously it can make for a lot cleaner install if you got to only do half the wires. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna put one of my fancy plugs on here, and then I'm not gonna put a plug on this side yet because I want to run them through the truck and cut them to length. So we're not gonna do this side yet, but let me go ahead and let me do this side. Go ahead and note, your gauges might be a little different. There are 2 green ones here. Obviously, if I follow this green one, it goes to the trans temp. So I know this green is for the trans and this one's for the EGTs. So don't get your wires mixed match, but if you break it down, this thin one and this yellow one are for the EGTs, and then the sticker one is our 12 volt coming in. This is our illumination and all that kinds of fun stuff. So let me go ahead, let me flip them around, because actually we can hook 12 volts to these and see how they light up and see how they look. So let me grab a Milwaukee, and I want to see what they look like. All right, guys, so we got them wired up. I think they look pretty freaking sweet. I think they look pretty cool. So all that just boom, narrowed down to a couple wires. So, and then also what I do as well is you can see that I leave almost a bunch of slack on all of them. So basically, if I need to pull a gauge out, I have the slack to pull it out, and they're not cut to exact length to where if I pull it out, let me see if I can get one out real quick. Hold on. Let me pause it real quick. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, this is what I was talking about with some slack. So basically I have plenty of room where, you know, I can pull one out in the truck and I have room to plug it in. Because if I made these too short, I mean, I would hate to trying to plug it in and I have like no play to get in. So now I have enough room to spin it around. I can check the plug, I can service it, do whatever I need to do, knowing that I've got enough length on basically all of them. But man, these things look pretty wicked. I'm not gonna lie, I like them. They look cool. Minus my fingerprints all over them, but other than that, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna take a break. It's like 4 or 5 in the morning. I'm tired. And besides, we're gonna wait for the sun to come up and then we're gonna get these wires up in the truck and have these gauges ready to rock and roll. So, all right, I'll catch y'all in the morning. All right, guys, so I guess the time has come. So we got our gauge pillar pot already. Got a nice little harness with a plug. And on the other end, we got these bad boys. So one of the first things I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a drill. I'm gonna braid these wires because I'm not trying to tape them up and make they don't look good like this. So let me take a drill, let me make them look all pretty. We're gonna run them in the truck. All right, guys, so we got our sensors here. So I'm gonna go hook these in the truck. It's not rocket science. You should be able, this part's pretty easy. And then we're gonna run all the wires. So I got them all braided. You know, makes things pretty simple when you do that. So now they don't look like a rat's nest. So gang gang. All right, guys, so we got our sensors in, we got our wires somewhat ran. So we got the boost gauge, you can see it peeking through right there. I got it running in this. This is meant to hold wires, so I don't know why people do this. They're like, oh, let me run a wire loom here and here and have wires sagging here when there's a whole C channel holder for wires. Just take the little clippies off. That's all you gotta do. Check it out. That's how you're supposed to run it. So I'll probably redo whatever the heck he's got going on here because that looks tacky. So yeah, boost gauge going up over there. The one for the EGTs is that silver one right there. And then we got the trans temp one going right there. Right there. So got those going. Got them running this way. I'll probably throw some wire loom on them later because I got more wires to run. Oh, so now we got to get these through the firewall. Can't use that hole. So you can use this hole. We're gonna have to drill a little hole to get through the little soundproof wall, which I'll probably do that. And then you got that hole. That's a good hole to run shit through. I got the plastic cover here somewhere, but I'm probably gonna use this one. I'll go get a drill bit, I'll run through it. So you can see it's right below the PCM. So then we can have our wires popping through right here. And then what I'll do is run them up this way, through here, have them tie end over here, run up through here, and then boom, we'll put our plug right here. So let me go ahead and do that, get all the wires running right here, and then we're gonna run our plug. So, heck yeah. All right, little pro tips. This hole was the first for me, and I noticed I started to hit metal, and I was like, what the heck? So I'm guessing I'm just hitting on the bottom of this right here. I really don't feel like messing with this bracket and stuff, so we're gonna come up to option 2. We're gonna reutilize that hole. So either one works, you know, why not? So let me just feed them through there and we'll get crack-a-lacking. Okay guys, so we got our wires ran through. I've got them pulled kind of snug. So basically pull all the slack out of it. And you can see we've got plenty. And there's our new plug, what they're gonna go into. And then here's our pillar gauge. Looking real nice up in there, ain't it? So this isn't mounted yet. I'm gonna put this in after the dash. And that's the whole point of this plug. So as you can see, this goes to the windshield like it should. And our plug has plenty. It's got like maybe three or four inches of slack. But the issue is if you pull this out, you want there to be enough slack to unplug it. So, okay. So, what you want You know, I mean, technically I could put the plug right here, it'd reach. But tell me how, if you pull that pillar gauge out, how you're gonna reach your hand down in the dash and unplug it. So it doesn't hurt to have some extra slack so that we can zip tie it up nice in there. We got plenty of slack, so, because it'll be okay to bunch it up under the dash, because once I tape it all up, it's okay just to have your slack, you know, it'll just chill down in here. You know, there's plenty of empty space in here for it to chill. So what I'm gonna do is pull it snug. I'll probably just snip it, honestly, right there at that first bolt. Call it good. So let me go ahead and snip it, and then we're gonna start pinning it and running it for that plug right there. So heck yeah, but plenty of slack. You know, no reason to zip tie this and clutter up the dash, but we don't need it. So hell yeah. Okay guys, boom, we got our plug pinned up in there, ready to go. And now you see I've got it plenty long. So if I pull on all the wires real tight, it comes about right there, which is more than enough, because it'll probably be running in the dash. It'd be nice to have a couple inches up here to unplug it if we need to. So now I've got a couple extra wires running right here. We got our ground, and then I use purple for illumination, and the pink will be accessory. And those are gonna come down here, and I'm gonna run them to the dash. So they're gonna have their own little body plug that I'm gonna add, you know. So these are for the mirrors and the backup cam. And then this will be now for the pillar gauges that'll fire it up. So, you know, we could put in the dash and everything just be plug and play now, basically. So we can go ahead and take this end of our gauges. Let's see. Yeah, that's right. And pop! And our gauges are ready to party. So basically it's gonna work something like that. You see that the plug's just chilling right there, and we got all our extra slack. So if we want to go ahead and remove it, we can unbolt this and be able to pull it up out of the dash, and now we can easily access it, because that dash sits about right here. So if we can have that plug come up here and be able to pinch it and unplug it, boom, that'd be the money. So basically here's your whole setup. Pretty snazzy if you ask me. So, and then, you know, once we get it up here, we're like, all right, we need to remove it. Boop, easy peasy. So now on these plugs, they have a weather seal right here, a little rubber piece. Now most of the time on the plugs in the truck, I don't run them inside the truck, because we don't need it to be waterproof inside the truck. If there's water in this truck, we've probably got bigger problems, because that rubber seal makes it a little harder to unplug and plug in, versus if you take it out, you know, it comes in and out real smooth. So other than that, I'm gonna, you know, probably put a couple more zip ties. I'm gonna tape it up, make it look all pretty. So I'm gonna save you that boring details. I'm not gonna show you a finished product yet. I'm gonna save that for when we have the dash in and everything, because obviously I can't start the truck and show you them working. So we'll save that for the final test drive, I guess. So all right guys, well I'll catch y'all later. I hope you know this was, you know, not exactly how to install these gauges. Is more of a tips and tricks when you're installing your own, because, you know, if you can't figure out how to mount this, you probably shouldn't be installing it. You know, if you can't figure out how to put the sensors in, you probably shouldn't be doing it. But the tips and tricks I feel like I showed you are things, you know, I don't ever see people do. So I'll catch y'all later. I obviously got some work to do, so adios. All right guys, you know, I figured I'd just throw in a little bonus clip, you know, show you a couple other things I'm working on. Why not? So I just finished this super cool freaking thing. So this is the storage bin on the top of the 2013 to 16 dashes. It's got the lid that pops open. It's usually a storage bin. I totally repurposed this bad boy. And then over here, for building the dash, it's coming together pretty sweet. It looks freaking sweet. It's got a freaking column helper. Fuse box all mounted. We got our 16 column with the 08 multi-switch. It's got all kinds of bells and whistles. I'm making a video on that too, so that'll probably be the next one I upload. But let me flip the camera and show you this pretty cool freaking thing I made. All right, so This man's got a lot of accessories on this truck, and I don't want to clutter the dash with a bunch of switches. So I decided to make this his little switch thing. So aux 1's gonna flip on the air compressor, and then this is gonna be the gauge for the air tank. And then this will be the hazards. And when you turn on the key, so right now this is with the lights on. So with the lights off, nothing will be lit up unless you flip it on like that. So like that. So then it'll light up white. So these are illumination, and then these are when the switch is turned on. So the hazard switch, it needs to be momentary for the column helper. So boom, we got that bad boy going. And then these are off constant 12 volts. So, you know, if he just wants to, you know, let's say charge his laptop but not have the truck running, he could just flip that on. And now he has an auxiliary fuel tank in the bed, and he used to have a manual valve that he used to have to turn the valve and it would drop fuel into the main tank. And so he was asking if I could put that on a switch. So we did that there, and it's gonna be off a solenoid. So he flips that and boom, starts dropping in the main tank. This will be for his bag, so he can lower it and then he can raise it. So it'll be like, so, you know, this truck be on switches, you know what I'm saying? And then for the air horn, so the way that one's gonna work is right there he has a normal horn. So he hits it, you know, be like beep, beep. Then he flips it on, air horn's activated, let's go, baby. So that's how that one's gonna work. So pretty slick. And then these three, I don't have wired to anything. So if he wants to add more accessories, he's got 3 switches right there that'll be ready to go. So that thing took some work, I'm not gonna lie, guys. But it came out freaking awesome. And then it's got the speaker up here, and then right there I put a USB aux that'll go to the back of the stereo. So it's gonna have an iPad kit, so the iPad will plug into there and stuff. You're probably thinking too, man, that's gonna be a lot of wires. Well, I got everything running on plugs, and I made a little harness, and everything just plugs into these 2 plugs. So everything goes from here, and it consolidates into this little harness, and everything goes right there. So don't mind my red and black jumper wires everywhere, but I'm pretty stoked on that. So then what else I'm working on? I just finished his iPad kit. Came out pretty good. So I'm about to do the AC controls right there. And then what else I knocked out? I put his heated and cooled seat switches right here. Came out pretty nice. So, and then what else? I don't know. I'm working on a bunch of stuff. I'm building a bunch of AC controls for guys right now. Doing like 10 million things at once. But other than that, I'll catch y'all later. Stay tuned for the video of me doing some cool stuff on this dash. Catch y'all later.